Hey, what's up, everybody? Mr. BuildWealth back at it again. If this is your first time checking me out, I'm here to share information and resources that can help you get started with building wealth. And before I get started, I'm going to punch in my website so you all will know where to find me, because people always have questions about what I do, how do I do it. So I want to make sure you all know where to find me. A lot of good information on there, some great blogs. Just you'll see the kind of information I'm trying to help people to understand. And if you need me, hit me up. So the topic for this session is Seiu 1021. And I did a talk on Friday night for a union group, the Seiu Local 1021. It was for their Black History Month effort or event. And I enjoyed the time. So I was one of, I believe we had about 4 speakers. I was the last one to go. And so I was listening to, all the speakers, share their story. And the first young lady I think she's a historian by background or a professor of history. I might be butchering it, but she was telling the story around the town of, is it Nicodamus? I'm probably butchering that name too, but it was back in Kansas back in 1855. Nicodemus, I think is what it was called. And she was talking about how awesome Black people have been, in terms of working together. And that was in 1855. So in 2021, we still can't somehow figure out how to create communities that are self-sustaining, and I can go on and on. But she was giving us some of that history around successful entrepreneurs, but also this kind of communal type of vibe that was overly present in all these different Black communities throughout the country. So the sense that working together was the way for the people in that community to really thrive. And so we know of Black Wall Street, and we've heard of those stories and how a lot of them were destroyed. But I take the good from it. And the good things that I always see is people who look like me or a complexion of me were working together for the betterment of the collective. And she was really kind of driving home that point of how we've lost sight of that in today's time. And it's unfortunate because I know we still have the talent, the capabilities, but we're just not doing what it takes to really work together. This other sister was on there. She runs a barbecue business and was telling a great story around her and this other business that had started in her city at the exact same time. Now, it's not a large city here in California. And again, I can't remember why she actually moved there, but she started a business along the same time as another gentleman did. And what happened is his business kind of just blew up, it flourished. It was thriving. There's even a big festival now that's in honor of this gentleman starting his business. And for her business, it's kind of been I'm still around, but she's never really hit that point to where it was popping. She's kept a business, she stayed in business, but nowhere near this other person's business. And it was a white guy. And she talked about how the city got behind him and how they were supportive and the funding and all the things that any business needs. This guy was getting it. And she sometimes got it, sometimes didn't. And she did mention that her being a Black woman in that community has its challenges, or had its challenges back then and still has them to this day. And of course, somebody had asked, why not just go elsewhere? But again, I think that's always our question is, why don't we go where we're wanted? But then you have other people who have no connection to a town or city, and they move, and then people just start supporting them. And so that was kind of her thing, was why should I have to move when I love where I'm at? It was a reason why she moved there, and she didn't feel like she had to move in order to have a successful business. So it is what it is. Her business is still intact, and I think it was some 18 years she's been in business, and just kind of explained that she never really got that support that could have really helped her to create a very large and even more successful brand. Now, when I got on to do my talk, I acknowledged the previous speakers, and especially for the young lady who had the barbecue restaurant, because she had mentioned she had a line of barbecue sauces. And I said, I'm definitely going to make the purchase before the night's over. And I literally did that right after we had finished. I logged off, and then I went to her website and bought a couple bottles of her barbecue sauce. And when I was starting my talk, I said, what's stopping us as a people like of supporting this sister. I said, if 1 million people just went and bought one bottle of barbecue sauce, that's 1 million more people that she would have never met that could help her business. Now, the barbecue sauce, the bottles aren't that expensive, but again, if 1 million people went and just bought one bottle, like that's 1 million new customers. And maybe, I don't know, a 1% of that actually likes the barbecue sauce or loves the barbecue sauce, goes crazy over the sauce and just keeps ordering it. So that could have been just repeat business. So I said, you know what, I'm going to try the sauce out. If it's good, I'm going to put my friends onto it. I'll post about it. I'll share it. And just hopefully we can get her to generate some more business, because if she's been around for 18 years, that means she's figured out something. She's figured out how to survive. But I would love to see more black businesses thrive, and it's going to take a collective effort. And it doesn't have to be black people. Money's green. So nobody knows whether you're black, white, green, yellow, purple, Asian, Mexican, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. When you go online and place an order, ethnicity is not one of the requirements to make a purchase. Having some money. So I get on, I do my thing. I had taken the group through an activity that I was doing all last year. It's called the 15-minute plan. This is similar to if you were interested in setting up some time but weren't really sure kind of what you wanted me to do for you. I sometimes ask people, would you indulge me for 15 minutes? So make the investment of my time, and I'll walk you through an activity that will get you to understand why financial planning is so important. So I took the group through this activity, and then we just had an open discussion. You know, a lot of people I don't think they were ready for that on a Friday night, but I kind of warned them ahead of time that it's a little heavy. And it's only heavy because you may not have your financial house in order. And so you're almost feeling like I'm personally attacking you. And what I do before I start is I say, if you feel like I'm speaking to you directly, then that just means we have an opportunity to grow. And maybe I can help you. There's probably somebody in your family, your close friend circle who can help you, but we're just not reaching out. And so we're going to feel uneasy going through this activity. And if so, that just means that's a good thing. But the next step is, do you want to avoid feeling that way ever again? Because it's not going to just subside. It's not just going to subside. Like you have to change. That's where the growth happens. You know, listen to any successful business. Sometimes it got bad, like really bad before it got good. I don't think anybody wants to go that route, but that's just the nature of business. And sometimes in life, it's not always going to be peachy. It's not always going to be rosy. But if you can sustain yourself and realize that you got to do a few things different, things can happen. So what I did for the group was, after my talk, I opened it up for Q&A. We probably had a good 35 minutes, and they peppered me with so many questions. And I was just honest with them. Like, I think that's what a lot of people were looking for when they attend any financial webinar or session. Just, what is the speaker really going to say? Are they going to try to steer me one way or the other? Like, tell me what I need to hear or tell me what I want to hear? Like, what are they really going to do? And I think part of how I do my thing is I just try to be honest. Like, honestly, there's a product for everybody. Everybody. Now, there's different varieties of certain products. And so what you have to do is sort out to figure out which is the best for you. So we talked about, I think the question that came up a lot was like investing, like, and how do you get started? And I've told people before, just invest in what you already buy and what you know. It's a simple strategy. I didn't say it's going to make you $1 gazillion, but if you continue to consume all these products and you don't own any of the company, that just doesn't make sense to me, because I'm an investor, right? I'm also a consumer, and I'm also an investor. And so I just challenge people to say, look, go around your house. All those name brand items you have, why don't you own any of that company? If they're publicly traded, of course. So, you know, there's things like that. It was, you know, somebody had mentioned life insurance. And again, it always comes up. They're like, why does everybody keep saying I need it? Because you do. It's the cheapest way to actually build a legacy. It's the cheapest way. The cheapest. And I had to explain that. Like, it's the cheapest way to build a legacy. But it's also very good if you have children, if you have assets. You know, it's just some of these things people are like, why are they so important? Because they are. Wealthy people do these things. You know, one of the kickers that I had mentioned was, it was during the college planning section. And I was like, every adult should add their kid. If you got good credit, add your kid as an authorized user. And people were blown away. They were like, I've never heard that before. And I was like, it's nothing new. Nothing new. Just the first day you heard it. I don't know why people with good credit who are disciplined don't want to give their kids an even bigger head start. They only talk about, well, we got to have money for college. How about you have some money for, like, I don't know, maybe they want to start a business later. Maybe, maybe they don't have enough cash. Maybe they don't have a trust fund. So having access to credit is a very important deal. So I was like, hey, if you're a parent, add your kids as an authorized user. And I told them, I was like, my niece and my nephew got credit already. They're building their credit history right now. My nephew's like 6 months old. So what's your excuse? The other excuse I hear is, well, the kids, they're growing so fast, I don't have enough time. I was like, well, everybody gets 18 years, give or take, right? 18 years. So why did you decide to wait? You had a kid, knew school or education was important, and then you waited. So you look like a fool. We all get this 18-year window. Some of us start before the kid is born or shortly after. Others just keep on waiting. And then they wait, then they wait, then they wait, and it's like, oh my God, they're in high school. What are we going to do? Take out student loans like everybody else did. So now you know why we have student loan debt issues, because parents just did poor planning. And that was the kind of vibes I was giving out. Like, parents just can do better. You don't get credit for doing things. And I said this, what you're supposed to do. You don't get credit for that. Well, I feed them. I put clothes on their back. I blah, blah. And they gave me I said, parents always say things that, they want to get they want a cookie for being a parent. You're supposed to do certain things when you have kids. You don't get any credit for that. And what you do get credit for is going above and beyond, right? The authorized user thing, the planning for college, in year 1, not year 13. Like, yeah, everybody gets that same 18-year window and people wait. So I'm like, whatever. You're going to do stuff when you're ready to do it. So I started, any talk that I do, I always love getting feedback. And one of the questions that I ask, I'm going to read off some of these things. This is just interesting because I always ask people, what were your biggest takeaways from the event? Because I realized that some people, a session, it's intense. And so, you're going to come in and come out. You'll hear what you want to hear. You'll miss a few things because you're taking notes. And that's all normal. But you're going to hear what you want to hear. And it's going to be something that normally you haven't thought about. Or I said something that triggered something in you. Like it triggered some memory, whether it's good or usually something bad. I trigger something in you that gets you to think you need to get your shit together. Like you really need to figure it out because you acting a fool. So I'm going to read off some of the feedback that I got. The first one says, I have not done any retirement planning. Now, I'm going to see who this person is, and I'm going to follow with all these people. And the only question I have is why? Like, I have not done any retirement planning, and I'm going to assume this person isn't fresh out of college. I'm going to go out on a limb. But that scares me, right? That is scary as hell. I have not done any. And any means you probably set up an account and didn't even know it was a retirement account. And I've heard that people say that, well, I had this benefit through the job, but I didn't really understand it. So granted, this person may have some retirement monies, but they don't really know because they have done no planning. So that was a big one. Somebody mentioned authorized credit card user, creating a plan. Yeah, that's big. Let's see, having a team. So I talk about the money team a lot. So people did say having a team to help build wealth. I need a financial team or money team. Like you need a team of people to help you out. I need a team to be financially successful. Here's the good one about the money team. And again, a lot of people were blowing up like, hey man, brother, I had never heard that before. So they said that you should have a money team. And then here's the kicker. I thought that was only for people who are rich. And that's something to this day. People still think that in order to have a lot of good people around you, your money team, these professionals, these experts, it's only for the rich. Still to this day, people still believe that certain things aren't for you if you're not rich. And what the hell does rich mean? And that's another thing that I really love, like digging deep with clients that I interact with is like, what else is behind that? Because I thought it was only for rich people. What do you think is rich? Another whole conversation. Somebody said building wealth is possible. You always have an opportunity to build wealth. The team thing came up. I would say probably the most is people just realize that you shouldn't be doing this by yourself and you should have multiple experts helping you to do things. Let's see what else we got here. I need help. Yeah. Oh, savings. That was a big one. So I always talk about savings and people are looking for like the secret sauce. And the secret is you got to do something. magical, right? And I said, and actually, they actually quoted me, $1, saving $1 is better than $0. And when I talk about savings, and the same thing happened to this group, I said, it's got to be doable and it's got to be meaningful. That's it. Just doable and meaningful. Whatever that means to you, that's how you save. Doable and meaningful. Same thing with investing. Do something you can afford to do. Make sure it's meaningful. Like, if you know you can afford to do $50, well, how do I best leverage that $50 a month that I'm doing? Just plan it out. Just figure it out. And the last one, and I love this, and I of course will be following up with this. I'm following up with all these people, by the way. And they said, we need a plan yesterday. Like, yesterday, this person needed a plan. And so I'm glad they said that, because that is the exact person, when I reach out to them, similar to the person, who said I hadn't done any retirement planning. And I'm just going to say, what's going on? Like, if you needed me yesterday or needed a plan yesterday, why haven't you done it? Like, what was stopping you from doing this planning work? And so this is like why I get such a kick out of doing what I do, is because you get this group of people who are in all different places in terms of their comfort level with talking money, or comfort level around like their own personal finances. But I think there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this effort. And the other great thing about this engagement was that everybody who attended received a copy of my book. And so I said, if you never follow back up with me ever again in life, like, I'm gifting you some cheat codes. And you should like read the book. I explained how easy it was to read. And I was like, if you can't figure out financial planning after reading my book, give up. Like, you're never going to be rich. You're never going to be wealthy. You're never going to create generational wealth. You will continue to perpetuate generational poverty. But as I have explained to people over and over, and this is how I actually introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm Jasper Smith, aka Mr. BuildWealth, founder of the BuildWealth movement, and I'm going to disrupt generational poverty. And I think I set the tone, because now I want to see what people are going to do. Now you can't say, I didn't meet anybody who kept it real. I didn't meet anybody who was credible. I didn't meet anybody who was like with it. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks as I do this follow up, see who responds back. One of the questions that I always ask in my feedback surveys is, how soon do you want to get started? Because that is the key to this whole thing. And so my colleague who connected me to the SEIU, I told her, I was like, I don't think a lot of people are going to follow through with anything after this effort. So let me do my best to give them the game, give them a book, give them a few resources, and I'm just going to sit back and see who kind of takes that step, because people are going to do stuff when they're good and ready. And I was like, I'm not going to force it, but then they can't say that they didn't know anybody who could help them out, because people are big on that, of saying, well, I didn't know anybody who could help me. I didn't know anybody who would help me because I'm not rich. I didn't know anybody. And we keep making up these excuses. And all I kept saying to them during this talk is, why are we making excuses when, again, the sister who was on first talking about Nicodemus back in Kansas in 1855, like, if they ain't make no excuses, so why the hell are we still making excuses in 2021 for why we can't build a very solid financial house? I just don't understand why. Like, why? Why can we not move forward? And this isn't even a black, white thing, Asian, Hispanic. It's not any of that. It's just certain people in their brains tell themselves that I'm not going to stand for this shit no more. It's got to change. And then they change. And then you have this other group of people who just say, you know what? I don't like this life, but I ain't willing to change, man. Like, you get these two polar opposites. You get the people who get fed up and then do something, and then you get the people who fed up and they just complain. So we'll see out of this group. There was about 50 plus people, I think last time I checked, who were logged onto this session, who, I was giving them the game Friday night. So we'll see, of that 50 plus people, who will do something different. And I may never hear from some of these people ever again, but I just felt like I was in the zone on Friday night. And I think I was doing my talk in a way that was honest. It was like there was a lot of passion behind it, but it was also like I left them with that call to action. That's how I try to do that for all my sessions. Did I change the way you think and feel about money? Did I do something right? But now we got to sit back and see what happens. So I'll leave you all with that. I appreciate the SEIU Local 1021 for bringing me in. If your organization needs a good speaker, great speaker who's dynamic, who can kind of get to like the real good stuff as it relates to financial planning, because there's all this fluffy stuff we want to talk about. Nah, I want to talk about the real stuff. So if your organization is looking for a speaker, like, hit me up. Mr. BuildWealth is ready. You know, if you've got questions about anything that you're doing with your personal financial plans and need some help, schedule that 15-minute phone call. Maybe that's how you start out. We can do more if you'd like to, but I'm not going to press you. It's just, hey, I could be a resource if you so choose to use me, and maybe it starts with just 15 minutes. All right? I'll catch y'all next time.